my name is Katie, and I wanted to make this video and a YouTube channel, I guess, to kind of share about my life, primarily some disorders that I have in my life. And the one I'd like to talk about in this video, which I think is going to be the first one I upload, is living with bipolar 1 disorder. In the past, I've tried to make videos or make vlogs or make blogs or various things trying to explain, and I always get frustrated. I feel like I'm over-explaining or under-explaining, but I think that at this point I'm stable enough. The best way to explain it is to just go with the flow. And then that's the most accurate representation, is just going with the flow and seeing what happens. I can't be any more real than if I just do this instead of writing it down and trying to transcribe bipolar disorder, which is basically just living in chaos for your entire life. So I guess I'll start out with, I have, I guess, technically had bipolar disorder my whole life. I won't go into childhood things because I think that that's too volatile to try to say, well, I did this as a kid, so I was obviously bipolar. But when I was 17, I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Before then, I was seeing psychologists and my general practitioner for antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications because I definitely had a hell of a lot of anxiety and a hell of a lot of depression. At that point, my mania hadn't really blossomed, or I didn't know what mania was to report to my doctors, and that's a big problem with people getting diagnosed with bipolar disorder, is when you're manic and you feel good, you don't feel the need to seek out a doctor. So I was in high school. At this point, I had I not dropped out, but they had a program called Homebound, where you didn't attend classes as a normal student, but you were still enrolled in your same classes, you were still enrolled within the school. You just got the work from your classes brought to you by a delegate from the school, you finished them, and on another day they picked it up. So I did graduate. That's probably the only reason I graduated. I was having panic attacks every day. I just couldn't make it through the school day. So when I finally got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, the first thing they tried me on was Seroquel, which is an antipsychotic, and it was to help me sleep. Because for some reason, even though I was depressed and even though I was anxious, well, I guess also because I was anxious, I would lie in bed and think that I would either dread school the next day or I would think I was going to die in my sleep. Definitely not normal. It took me until I was 18 to really see a psychiatrist who could accurately give me a diagnosis and a prognosis and medication, because the doctor that was highly recommended to me by my psychologist at the time only saw adults, and I had a few more months until I was 18. So when I finally got in with him, I gave him a composite list of all these medications I had tried, because at that point I was kind of irritated with doctors because I had been trying on so many meds and they all made me worse, and I just wanted to say, hey, don't try me on any of these. I've already tried them and they don't work. And he looked at the list and I didn't say a word, and he said, well, I don't even need to interview you to tell you that you're bipolar. And so I was like, okay, cool. My psychologist had diagnosed me with bipolar, but I wasn't so sure about it. I always thought, when I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, well, at least I'm not bipolar. And then I came into his office one day in a whirlwind. I was late because I had been having sex with one of my best friends that I had decided to do just right then and there for no reason. I had been stealing things. I had been spending money recklessly. I mean, I was getting out of control, and I blamed it on anxiety and depression. And whenever he said bipolar, I thought, whatever, and I just waited for the doctor. And when he said bipolar, I thought, okay, cool, well, here we go, just get me better, I don't care. He tried me on several mood stabilizers, several anti-anxiety drugs. I'm not even going to go into everything he tried me on because it took from age 18 until probably about a year ago when I was 21 to get on the right meds. I tried so many things. There's no point in listing them all. And I also don't want to discourage anyone from trying any medication because it didn't work for me, but it might work for you. I will say, though, the drug that has been most beneficial to me is lithium, and I started that in January of 2017. Yes, so 2.5 years ago. Um, that really saved my life. That really turned me around. That really got my mania and my depression under control. So, in the midst of being treated, I had to drop out of college 3 times. I really tried my damnedest to stay in college. I am a psychology major, and at this point, I am almost done. I do want to go to grad school. I'm starting back for the 4th time in January at yet another school to try to finish my degree. Um, and you know what? I'm not even interested in psychology because I'm bipolar. I just think as a whole, it's an incredibly interesting science. And, the fact that bipolar and mental illness and my struggle with it and not being on the right meds and not being able to control it and not knowing enough about it holding me back from finishing what I really want to do was really hard to accept. And probably my worst depressive episode was the first time I dropped out of college, which was when I went to college straight out of high school. And I lasted for about a week and a half, and I had a total breakdown. First, I had my first actual full manic episode, and then when I crashed hard, and I couldn't take care of myself, and had to come home. That was devastating. I went into a depressive episode where I didn't leave the couch except to use the bathroom for probably from the end of August until the beginning of November. I haven't had a depression that bad since. That caused a major med adjustment. That one probably saved my life. And just as I improved, I tried school again. It didn't go terrible, but I didn't want to go back after I finished that semester. It's caused a lot of hardships. I can't hold down a job because any kind of change in my schedule triggers an episode, and it's hard to hold down a job whenever you're manic or you're depressed for reasons you can probably assume. I can't even begin to describe all the things that have caused me to have to quit jobs because of an episode. But at this point, I really feel like I'm getting my life back on track. I recently had another med change because I had a little bit of a depressive slip due to some situational things, and really because of the meds I'm on now, I don't have random episodes. I seem to be triggered by med changes lightly, but I really seem to be triggered by stress. So I've been trying hard to keep my stress down. Yeah. But, I mean, it's never not going to be a struggle. I realized that with my latest episode. I just kind of came down from a very small, not small, but a short-lived manic episode, and I hadn't had a fully manic episode. I am bipolar 1. I hadn't had a fully manic episode for a long time, and this one was induced by stress and a med change. I sunk down into a pretty deep depression for no real reason, and I got very desperate and scared because I hadn't been that depressed since the time I explained earlier when I was depressed for months, and when I came home from school, couldn't leave the couch, and I didn't want that to happen again. So I was very down already and had a med change, and then it kind of sent me up really high, and I was just very distressed about that because prior to that, I had actually been more stable than I've ever been in my entire life, and I was very, very proud of myself for that. I worked really hard for that. I worked really, really, really hard for that, but it was kind of a wake-up call that I am never going to be normal, and I am okay with that. A friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, recently got diagnosed with bipolar type 2, and it's a whole new world for him. He turned to me for support, I guess, because I'm like I don't know, I guess he thought I was some sort of bipolar guru that had my shit together, when really I have none of my shit together. But, he told me the other day, he said, whatever meds I try, I've already accepted that I'm never gonna feel normal, that the meds are just going to improve how I feel, and I'm gonna have my own normal. And that kind of, set me back, because it took me several years to learn that lesson. I was very unsatisfied, or dissatisfied, whatever. I was very not happy with any med that I tried because I was wanting to feel normal. I wanted to feel how I felt when I was like 10. I wanted no anxiety. I wanted no depression. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to feel like everybody else feels. And that's just not going to happen. And the down the downfall that I had from where I worked so hard to get stable and be in a good place and then for it all to come crumbling down, I have to learn to not let that ruin me because that's going to happen probably 50 more times in my life. And if you're bipolar, it'll probably happen to you too. And that's not me being pessimistic, that's just how it is. And it's okay because we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for bipolar. But we can ask for help. We can ask for support. We can make the best of it. I feel like I wouldn't be the same person if I wasn't bipolar. Um, I will say though, I'm not one of those people that they interview and they have this illness and they say, well, if there was a cure for this, would you take it? And they say, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be the same person without it. Because no, I wouldn't be the same person without it. But if I could not be bipolar, I would choose to not be bipolar. It's a living hell, but it does give me a lot of insight. It gives me a lot of empathy. And overall, it makes me who I am. And since I can't change it, I'm just going to have to make the best of it. And so, I don't know what other videos I could possibly make on this topic. I mean, there is a ton of shit I could talk about. I don't know if anyone cares. We'll see how this video goes. But, lately I found myself searching bipolar success stories and inspiration porn and that bullshit to just know that I'm not alone, and it does get better, and God, I hate that stuff, I really do. But I mean, just knowing it's not just me that feels this way, and that when I'm studying and reading about bipolar in textbooks, and that you just take a medicine and you're fine, I know that's not how it is. I just wanted to hear from other people that that's not how it is, and that it's okay. And I found that there aren't that many videos that say that. So I wanted to say that, and I wanted to give my perspective on it. And I want to be active about it, and I want to be honest about it, and I don't want to lie about it. And so if this helps somebody, then that's great. And if it doesn't, then at least I occupied myself for the last 12 minutes making this. So, thank you for watching. I might make more of these, or I might not. But let me know if you liked it.